Hey, this is Shannon with 10 Minutes of Astrology. Today we are going to be talking about the new moon happening on March 21st, 2023. So stay tuned and we're going to hop right in and discuss. So the first thing that I am going to point out for you is here we have the new moon in Aries at 0 degrees 49 minutes. So I've talked to you guys before in a past video about what the degrees mean, what these numbers mean. So I really want to pinpoint why this is so important during this time, because we have the sun and moon at 0 degrees, one of the hardest places to be in for any sign and any planet of any combination. It is like the worst place for it to be in. It's one of the most difficult. You have no idea what you're doing. And Aries is the sign that's going to get frustrated at the fact that it has no idea what it's doing and has no idea what's happening. So you have the sun, which is daily life, the moon, which is how you view yourself internally and how you internalize the world around you. It's also the first sign of the chart. So we're just starting into the new astrological season, as it were, and we're coming in tripping over ourselves, basically. It is going to be difficult to handle this time. So I don't really have best advice for things that come up at 0 degrees. It's kind of, you're gonna have to just get through it, because this is the start of the astrological new year. We're starting out tripping over ourselves and being frustrated over it. It's like the kid who's running too fast and falls face first on the ground and skins up his knee and just starts wailing. So welcome to the astrological new year. And this is going to be kind of the start of the year, so it's not going to get much easier, unfortunately. Another thing that I want to point out is we have many semi-sextiles on this chart, and I'm going to discuss them now. One of the first semi-sextiles we see is the new moon semi-sextiling Saturn in Pisces at 1 degree 37 minutes. Another very difficult alignment, because again, we still have the 0 degrees. Now, it is a little over a degree off. I typically don't talk about things if they're more than a degree off, but it's still important because it is about to surpass and get closer to that. So as we get closer to that, you're going to see it more prevalent. So why is this important? Well, we have the 0 degree fall going on, and the very first thing of the year, basically. Semi-sextile Saturn in Pisces. Saturn just went in there. We just had a lot of hiccups with Saturn and Pisces anyway, going through its 0 degree mark. So when Saturn is in 0 degrees, which will be just after the full moon and just before this new moon, and Saturn at 0 degrees of Pisces is tripping up spiritually. It is a difficult place to be, because you want to be right and you want to be right in your spirit, but there's just things aren't fully connecting. So with this semi-sextile, Saturn needs to learn from the new moon. What does Saturn need to learn? Well, Saturn learning from the sun is daily. It's okay to be wrong. It's okay to be wrong sometimes. It's going to happen. Saturn semi-sextiling the moon basically says, look, you're going to have to do some introspection in order to reach the next level. You're going to have to go deep into yourself to figure out why this went wrong. Saturn is very rigid, and in a place like Pisces, it's got really unsure footing. So it's going to be a struggle to overcome during this time your thoughts about what you thought was right, where you thought you believed, your beliefs in God are being shaken. The foundation of your beliefs are being shaken. You're internalizing this. It's kind of a daily thing, especially pinpointed on this day, the next day, from Saturn, from the last moon cycle into this moon cycle. There's a lot of internalizing and really processing who we want to be, what we want to believe in that is happening here. Something else that I want to talk about, Mercury at 5 degrees in Aries and Venus at 5 degrees 45 minutes in Taurus. These are also semi-sextile, and they're playing off of one another as well. Mercury is that small communication, between very small groups, 1 to 2 or 3 people. And in Aries, it is your communications are coming across as selfish, and Aries isn't known to be patient. It's not known to be a great listener. They are very forward in their communication. Venus in Taurus, though, is very loving. It's very homely. And Venus is not just romantic relationships. It's all relationships. It's relationships with family, with coworkers. And Taurus is comfort. It is stubborn. It's homely. It's grounded. They are also very forward, but in more of a friendly, practical joke kind of way. So the semi-sextile here, Mercury needs to learn from Venus, because Venus is telling Mercury basically, your relationships mean more than you. And you have to be able to communicate that you appreciate people and that you're not just stomping them into the ground. And Venus needs to teach Mercury that relationships are more important than what you have to say during this time. Uranus and Jupiter. So Jupiter is here at 1639. Uranus is here at 1618. And they are also, you guessed it, semi-sextile. We have another player here, though, all the way over here in Leo. It is not on this chart. I'm going to kind of draw it in. We have Sappho here at 16 degrees 42 minutes. Now this is going to be square, and Jupiter to Sappho is trine. What does all of this mean? Well, Uranus needs to teach Jupiter that don't blow things out of proportion, because Jupiter in Aries is going to make things big, out of proportion, and it's going to end up turning into, it's going to make it seem like you're being selfish and way out of bounds. And then Uranus in Taurus is these crazy things happening in the home. So Uranus needs to teach Jupiter, look, things are going to happen, but you cannot blow this out of proportion. Even though Jupiter is about expansion, it's going to want to go out of proportion, but you just can't. Things are going to happen. Things are going to get out of control, and you've got to be able to handle yourself. Jupiter needs to learn here from Uranus to tone it down a bit, to bring it down a notch, because it's really not some big, huge, giant thing. Even though it might actually be, you're going to have to tell yourself that it's not in order to get through this. Sappho square Uranus. Now, Sappho in a chart is about those female friendships, those female relationships. It is a very kind of happy sign, especially here in Leo, where Leo is kind of exorbitant and out of the box and does too much, exaggerated. So that being square to Uranus, that's basically saying that whatever craziness is happening and going on, don't call me about it. I want to be there for your girlfriends. They're going to want to be there for the fun. They're not going to want to be there for the tragedies and the crazy things that are happening. Not people you can rely on at this time. Your inner circle of people that really matter, you're mainly going to have to be reliant more on men during this crazy chaos. It might be something electrical or something that needs kind of a man work to really come about, because you're not going to be able to rely on your female friends. With Sappho trine Jupiter, you can gab with them, you can talk with them, you can have good conversation. Things might get out of context and kind of blow up, but it's not going to be the end of a relationship. You can still have fun. So my time is up. Thank you so much for watching. Remember, if you like stuff like this, to subscribe and follow, etc., etc. If you want a reading with me, you can contact me directly. I'm usually able to respond same day. Thanks so much for watching, and peace out, fam.